Welcome and thank you for joining in today's broadcast. Welcome to Showcase Broadcast Studio, Real Talk with Michael Wardy. My name is Michael Wardy, and I am really excited for a couple of things. First of all, to welcome Susan Goldberg to today's interview and broadcast, but also today's the last day that we'll be hosting broadcast for the year of 2021. 2022, we will be changing some venues and some different things, and it's kind of exciting of what's going to be coming next. So first of all, Susan, thank you for joining. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Michael, for having me, and thank you for everyone who is listening or will listen later.
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that are joining us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, thank you for joining live. If you do have questions, comments, or thoughts that you would like to share with Susan and I, please feel free to put those in the comments section, and I will get to those hopefully for any questions that come up. If I don't, Susan will reach out to you afterwards and follow up with answers. So, Susan, just to get started as an introduction, we've talked for a while, and I like this topic that we're going to be going through because it's incredibly timely, number one. Number two, it's a challenge that a lot of businesses are having regarding the transition of leadership, transitioning to millennials, becoming leaders. And I know in conversations that you and I have had, you've had a lot of great thoughts and insight into here's what I'm helping clients with. So I guess just to start out with, can you give us a background of you and your business?
Sure. Originally, I had a marketing background. Did that for many years until tough economy. Two search firm people found me and said, if you can market strategies, you can market positions and companies. And I started doing that and worked for a number of different companies, and then went through a lot of mergers, decided merging was not for me. I never wanted to be with a huge company. Went out on my own and did that for a while, then had a partner. Another rough economy. We started doing career coaching as well as executive search, retained executive search. And then went back to on my own. And then I realized a lot of my clients were facing either high turnover, which is relevant for today, facing high turnover, and a lot of their senior leadership was crashing and burning. And why was that happening? Well, in talking to some of my clients who were millennial executives, they didn't have a lot of people experience, a lot of communication experience. And so therefore they were coming to me more in how they could do their job and establish credibility and have conversations than who should they hire. And I realized maybe I'm in the wrong business. And at the time I was in the middle of writing Leadership in Wonderland with my co-author, Rebecca Lacey. And I thought, I probably started doing this for a reason. And then I had a smart mentor who just said to me, snap out of it. You know, like in Moonstruck.
Yep.
You are no longer in executive search. You are now doing young leadership development because companies need you. They need to understand where the young leadership needs to have better skill sets, better abilities, more confidence, and how they can hold on to people longer.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing since about 2017.
I mean, as far as being in the right place at the right time, it's incredibly timely. Are there industries that you engage more with versus other industries? Where do you kind of move towards, or are there any?
It really depends on the company. And by the way, I work with corporations. I work with higher education because I teach leadership workshops for higher education. I also work with individuals who are having issues around their leadership skills, and they need to shine on where they're not succeeding. What are their blocks? How could they do things better? How could they have better conversations? What are they missing, etc.
Yeah.
So industry agnostic, it's really who has the funds and who has the deep desire for change and willingness to change.
Yeah. Okay. So I went through some questions, and by the way, I did buy your book right there. Thank
you,
you. I
Michael.
have not finished it, but it did create some thoughts and some questions. I highly recommend anybody that is looking to excel in leadership, transition from somewhere else into leadership along those lines. Definitely this book, Leadership in Wonderland. Grab it from Amazon. I don't remember what it was the cost, but whatever it is, I think it's worth that investment. Now I think it is. It's worth that investment. So one of the things, and I'm here at Source Advisors, we've been working with CPA firms since 1983. More now than ever before, conversations and whatever we're discussing always comes back to, do you know anybody that's looking for transition to working in a CPA firm? Do you know anybody that's graduating that's looking to get into the accounting world? They're looking for firms, and it's not just firms. It's every business is looking for that younger talent. The competition is tough. Why?
So one small segment just before I answer that question, and that is because of COVID, what I realized is every voice matters. And I was actually doing an online workshop about how every voice matters. And with that, rather than just focusing on younger leadership, it's now all leadership. It's all across the board. So getting back to your question, I've spoken to a number of internal recruiters from large accounting firms who actually go to the colleges and try to find the best upcoming talent for them. I've spoken to internal staffing people at accounting firms. I've spoken to partners themselves. And I'm also a member of a few professional associations that specifically work with accountants. So why is competition tough? Part of it is the sexiness of accounting.
You're saying that's a sexy industry?
Oh, no, I'm saying just the opposite. Sorry.
No worries.
Now, of course, you could argue with me. If you're an accountant, you could find it like the most fulfilling, most wonderful, most passionate industry that there is. However, that may not be the general perception, particularly of students in school. And even if they study accounting, they're thinking, well, I would want to go to a small accounting firm, maybe, or maybe I just want to go to some other kind of company or use my background and not even get my CPA and just use the knowledge that I have for something else, because maybe that's more exciting. And I think part of that is that the accounting industry itself needs to market itself better, particularly for those who are younger, who are thinking, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. But I think particularly when it comes to big companies, regardless of the profession, it's how can we be special enough that we can attract great talent and help develop them, keep them excited, and keep them here. Now, something interesting. Recently, someone presented to my HR trade organization where I'm on the board, talking about how venture capitalists and analysts are now analyzing companies differently than they have before. It's not just about the finances. It's about what is their ability to attract new talent.
And that hasn't been done before?
Not to my knowledge, not in the I guess the popularity that it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And according to Edelman, the PR firm, 90% of the value of a company now is in its intangible assets.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely changed.
It's definitely changed.
So how are businesses with the competition where it is, how do you differentiate yourself? Like when you have senior management that's been in their positions for a decade, 2 decades, however long, small businesses where it's family-owned business and they need to shift to the next group, how are they doing it? What are you consulting, or what ideas can you share to help them with this? At least give some thought into it. It's a big challenge.
It is a big challenge. One of the best things they can do is welcome their young people into the conversation, because they're going to be the future. They're going to be what keeps that particular accounting firm or company relevant. Okay. And chances are, at this point, the millennials are the biggest market out there. Okay. And so how do you attract them as customers? If you don't have their voice and the Gen Z's voice helping to continually morph and change and keep a company exciting and maybe not groundbreaking, but like you said, different, unique, special, then it's going to be a tough ride for you, particularly starting now with COVID, because so many things, nobody has the answers as to what's going to happen with the pandemic. And it's very, very hard to make, recommendations that are all black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm not a futurist. I'm not someone who can see the future. I don't have a crystal ball I can look at and say, oh, well, this is going to happen, so you should do this. So part of my responsibility, and part of the reason people bring me in, is to see, where's a company going right? And let's celebrate that. And then how can we shift things and make things even better? What are we missing? Where is communication not working in the company? Where do we have resources that we never thought of marketing before? Where do we have skills in our people and abilities that we're not using?
Yeah.
So that people can feel more fulfilled and bring something different. What about employee resource groups? What about sustainability? It's looking at all different things that make a company a vibrant, living organism that isn't stagnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it used to be that when you bring in, I started my career at Payne Weber, they brought in a group of people, trained us. It was all the same training. Is training changing as well? Is it becoming more personalized for that individual to help them grow based on what their learning skill set is, versus just a blanket, here's the book, here's the training, go do it. If you don't make it, you don't make it. It's a law of numbers.
I have so many comments about this. Where to start? Okay, first of all, it's both ends.
Okay.
So what I recommend to companies is often that there be a group that learns together, so they can learn from each other. They can support each other, and hopefully they're in different aspects of the company. And also building that community will allow them to develop friendships and people they trust and rely on, and therefore they might stay longer.
Right.
That's one thing. Individually, you're right. So it's also individually. And this, a person could be responsible for, developing their own skills through, online classes, reading, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then companies also could be highlighting, saying, giving suggestions like I would, saying, this person I've noticed has this particular skill. I haven't seen anyone around them that have that skill. Let's talk about investing in that person. And that's it. Now, myself, I've worked with coaches. I
Mm-hmm.
think in order to be a good consultant, a good coach, you have to never be stagnant. You always have to be growing and learning.
Yep.
Yeah, because as we all know, things change. I could hear the same points from my coach over and over. Okay. But until I was ready to understand them
Mm-hmm.
and to embrace them, nothing changes. And sometimes it could be so ingrained that you need to use like really alternative methods, like Chinese herbs or Reiki or meditation or therapy or something truly that changes either your cellular makeup or your brain makeup, your background, your history, or how you look at it,
Mm-hmm.
that allows you to move forward and make change.
So you brought up something. I just jotted this down because a couple of questions on this. You said when you were ready for that change. Have we grown into an environment where your business needs to grow at a certain pace, but if your team, your employees are not at that stage, forcing them to move in that direction at that pace could end up discouraging them? Are we at that point where it's no longer here's our company first and then the employees, and now are we at it's the employees first and then the company will follow and grow at the pace that it should grow at, but we need to be more considerate of our employees? I don't know if I asked that the right way or if it's completely confusing.
So if I understand you, Michael,
Which I don't understand what I asked.
Right? I'll try to rephrase it. If the way we used to work, which is expectations of growth for a team or for a company, and
Mhm.
then trying to get employees on board with that and do everything possible to make that happen, as opposed to now where employees are so important, maybe employees are the ones that should set as to how a company should grow,
Right.
and the rate it should grow. And the issue there is if you're solely focused on that and it's a public company, what happens? Because the shareholders
Mhm.
are going to be expecting something else.
Right.
And the analysts are going to be expecting something else.
Mhm.
So it kind of has to be a combination of things. It's all right, let's figure out an acceptable growth rate
Mhm.
together, employees, company, overhead, and share that with shareholders, and then work with employees as, okay, how are we going to make this happen?
Mhm.
Okay, rather than declaring and demanding.
Right.
Right. Have them involved.
It's different.
It is very different.
It's different from the mindset of the executive team that's been doing it the same way decade over decade to now saying, wait a minute, maybe we should, or not maybe, we have to include more than just the executive team, because it's hard to hire people, and if you don't keep good people, no
Yes.
matter what number you say you're going to get, you're not going to
Mhm.
get there. So you have to, you're forced into it, which is a good thing, because you're getting input from everybody, not just what top management is saying, because they may not even know what's going on within the company, especially for a publicly traded company where they don't see down to the first level what's happening all the way up.
And threats like COVID or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we never know when they're going to pop up. So
Yeah.
you may think that you have the answers, and we realized in the past couple of years you can't have all the answers, and you can't expect the same growth that you did 5 or 10 years ago. It's not
Right.
possible, because there are so many things that are we can't control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I know we just blasted through a bunch of stuff and it did not feel like 20 minutes. I felt like it
I
was only
know.
5 minutes. That's crazy. But when a company is looking at business, or when a company is looking at hiring more people and retaining and finding the right talent, you help with that. Maybe not on the recruiting side, but more of kind of building that structure for how to do it. When do they reach out to you? When and why would they reach out to you?
Okay. A leader in a company may realize that they've either become ineffective, or they're not reaching their team like they used to, and they're at a standstill, and they can't drive growth or productivity. That's when they can reach out to me. They
Okay.
can reach out to me when they realize different generations are working differently and they're not communicating, and therefore things aren't as effective and productive as they could be, and a company could be hurting, or a team could be hurting, and they are so ingrained in doing what they're doing, they can't see outside themselves.
Yeah.
So they can't see where the problems are. They don't know how to start the communication. They don't know how to have the conversations. Then they would reach out to me.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And yeah. And oftentimes what they don't realize is there's so much good often happening in the company, and people are so involved in their day-to-day, they're not seeing it.
Yeah.
Or the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
Yep.
Gee, have you heard that before?
That's new. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah. So the best thing you can do is reflect what's actually happening that's really good. Because once people can get excited about their strengths, and they see the good stuff, then they're more open to saying, okay, so how can we make things better? If you browbeat them, nobody wants to go through change after that.
Right.
But if you can get excited about saying, wow, I never realized that this was happening, or we had these resources, that these people or they were doing this kind of research, or they're doing this kind of sales strategy, or whatever it is, that if it was communicated either throughout the company or just from team to team, it makes such a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so this brings up when I used to do recruiting, because I did recruiting for many years before, obviously, before I got into leadership development. Most people do not like being interviewed.
True.
And most people have a lot of trepidation about it.
Of course.
Yeah, because they feel like they're going to be judged. And of course, in some way, they are. When people would come to me and I'd interview them, they'd walk out saying, I feel so light. I feel like I just saw my therapist, or I feel like I'm burdened things from my shoulders, and I feel fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And people said, how can you do that? And I said, because I'm really interested in people. I really like people. I'm fascinated. I'm so curious. And so I can reflect back to a person or a company things that they don't even realize.
Yeah.
That could make them feel proud. And then have them look at things differently so that we can rephrase something so they don't think of it in the negative anymore.
Yeah.
And then I can work with them to highlight what they have and then to make things better. And what to communicate with a client or people inside a company, employees, team members, etc.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's been I don't want to say it's an interesting time because everybody says that. It's I don't know of another phrase for how to stem what is going on right now, and anxious and excited about how all this is going to transition, what's going to come out on the other side, when we're back to whatever is going to be considered the normal again. So Susan, thank you again. I appreciate you joining.
Thank you, Michael.
And for those that want to reach out to you, contact you, learn more, engage you, how do they get in touch with you?
They can reach me at susangoldbergleadership.com.
Perfect.
You can also go to my LinkedIn and Facebook.
All the social media.
All the usual. Yep,
Good.
all the usual.
Very good.
Yeah.
Susan,
Michael,
thank you again.
yeah, thank you. Any other questions or things that you'd like to say before we finish?
I think I have covered it. I know that as I'm going through the book again, Leadership in Wonderland. I love the title, by the way. And I love it. Just the cover looked intriguing and amazing. So great artwork. But as I go through this, I know I'm going to have questions. And Susan, maybe in the first quarter, we reconnect and do another broadcast. Have you join us and go into more details, and we'll have more information from your book to ask questions from.
So, that would be great, because I love to hear like what character you align with the most, or where you had prejudged a character and then change your mind about them.
I will be open, and I will share that with everybody. I will not hide behind anything.
I know you won't. Thank you.
Thank you,
I love that about you, Michael, because you're very honest and open and genuine and accountable in today's world where we need more people like that.
I appreciate that. And I did not ask Susan to say that, by the way.
He did not.
Have a great holiday season. For everybody out there, thank you for watching. And this is converted to our podcast. Thank you for listening. Please, please, please definitely share this with anybody that you know that could benefit from learning more about the right way to transition for leadership, learn more about working with people and individuals. Contact Susan. Great resource, and she can help you in your business and give great insight. Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Bye-bye.
Bye.